Welcome back, dear listener. Tonight, we return to Camelot, but the castle has changed. The Golden Age stands at its peak, radiant and glorious, yet shadows gather at the edges. We have witnessed love's triumph and tragedy, Lancelot and Guinevere's forbidden passion, Tristan and Isolde's heartbreak written in stars. But tonight begins something different. A quest not of the sword, but of the soul. Only the purest heart can find what we seek. Only the truest spirit can grasp what lies beyond sight. Let's take a deep breath to relax together. And along with the candlelight, let us begin. Chapter 1. Camelot's Golden Hour. It is Pentecost, the 50th day after Easter, when the Holy Spirit descended upon the apostles in tongues of flame. In Camelot, this day means something more: tradition, reunion, and the promise of miracles yet to come. The great hall fills with the scent of roasted meats and honeyed wine, with the rustle of silk and the murmur of 150 knights gathering once more beneath the banners of the Round Table. Servants move like shadows between the long tables, their arms laden with platters of venison and swan, with bowls of summer fruits glistening in the torchlight. Musicians tune their lutes and viols in the gallery above, preparing melodies that will fill the spaces between conversation and laughter. This is Camelot at its zenith. The castle has never been more splendid, the kingdom never more at peace. From the narrow seas to the western isles, Arthur's justice prevails. Monsters have been slain, wrongs have been righted, the weak protected, and the wicked punished. The Round Table, that great circle of oak that Merlin himself enchanted, stands in the center of the hall. A symbol of equality, where no man sits above another, where king and knight share the same space, the same honor. Above each seat hangs a shield. Lancelot's white shield with 3 red stripes, Gawain's golden pentangle on green, Tristan's harp and sword, Percival's simple cross, Bors' humble dove, Bedive's ancient serpent, Kay's crossed keys, Gareth's blooming rose. 150 shields for 150 stories, each one a testament to courage, to adventure, to the code of chivalry that binds them all. The windows are thrown open to the summer air. Beyond them, Camelot spreads in terraces down to the river. Gardens where roses climb stone walls, courtyards where fountains splash, stables where the finest horses stamp and whinny. The city below buzzes with festival joy. Today, all of Britain celebrates. Today, the knights have come home. But there, in the midst of all this glory, stands one empty seat. The Siege Perilous, the seat of danger. It looks like any other chair around the great circle, carved from the same ancient oak, cushioned with the same crimson velvet. Yet no shield hangs above it. No knight has ever sat there. Those who tried, and 3 have been foolish enough to try, died the instant they touched the wood, struck down by invisible lightning, their bodies turning to ash before the horrified eyes of their brothers. Merlin's prophecy echoes in the memory of those old enough to remember. This seat awaits the greatest knight the world shall ever know. The purest of the pure. The perfect knight. When he comes, he shall achieve what all others cannot. Young knights glance at it with a mixture of fear and longing. Old knights shake their heads, remembering those who died. Arthur himself never looks at it anymore. Too many losses. Too many bright young men turn to smoke and sorrow. At the high table, King Arthur sits in quiet contemplation. He wears his crown today, a simple circlet of gold, because tradition demands it. But his face carries lines that weren't there 10 years ago. Beside him, Guinevere shines like a candle in her gown of deep blue silk, her golden hair braided with pearls. She smiles at the assembled knights, plays her role as queen with grace and warmth. But her eyes, when they think no one is watching, seek one face in the crowd. Lancelot sits 3 seats to Arthur's left. The greatest knight in Christendom, they call him. Lancelot du Lac, Lancelot of the Lake, the knight who has never been defeated in tournament or battle, whose courtesy is matched only by his courage, whose name is spoken with reverence from Rome to Constantinople. He wears black today, as he often does, and his handsome face is composed, serene. But beneath the table, his hands clench and unclench. His heart beats like a trapped bird. He feels her gaze and does not turn. He knows that to look at Guinevere now, in this public place, would reveal everything. Their secret love, burning like a coal in his chest for years, must remain hidden. For Arthur's sake. For Camelot's sake. For the sake of everything they have built together. But the weight of it grows heavier each year. The guilt. The betrayal. He loves Arthur like a brother. No. More than a brother. Arthur who saved him, who knighted him, who gave him purpose and belonging. And yet. Lancelot's eyes drift to the Siege Perilous. He thinks, as he has thought 1,000 times. I am the strongest knight, but I am not the purest. I will never sit in that seat. My sins have made me unworthy. The greatest knight? Perhaps. But not the perfect knight. Never that. Gawain, Arthur's nephew, stands to propose a toast. His voice booms across the hall, full of life and vigor. To the king. To Camelot. To the fellowship of the Round Table. The knights roar their approval, cups raised high, wine splashing. The moment breaks the tension like a stone through glass. Conversation swells. Laughter rises. The feast is about to begin. But Arthur does not give the signal. He remains seated, watching the doors. My lord. Guinevere touches his hand gently. Arthur smiles at her, but it's a distant smile. You know my tradition. My dear. On Pentecost, we do not feast until we have witnessed some marvel or heard some tale of adventure. The day demands it. Providence demands it. The knights know this well. It's a game they've played for years. Usually someone rides in with news of a dragon that needs slaying, or a maiden that needs rescuing, or a challenge from some distant lord. The marvel comes. The feast begins. The world continues in its familiar dance. But today feels different. The air itself seems to hold its breath. The candles burn straighter than candles should. The shadows in the corners seem deeper, more watchful. Knights shift in their seats, suddenly uneasy without knowing why. Then the great doors open. Let the story settle around you like a gentle mist. We stand now at the threshold of change, where the old world meets the new. Chapter 2. The Perfect Night. An old man enters the hall. He moves slowly, leaning on a staff of dark wood, his robes the color of undyed wool, simple and warm. But his eyes are clear as mountain springs, bright with some inner light that makes strong knights lower their gaze. Behind him walks a young man. He wears a red cloak with the hood drawn up, hiding his face. He is tall, this stranger, with the bearing of nobility, but he says nothing, does nothing, simply follows the old hermit into the sudden silence of Camelot's great hall. The hermit approaches the high table. Every eye in the room follows him. 150 knights and all their ladies, all the lords and servants, all hold their breath as one. He bows to Arthur, a bow of respect but not of subservience. "My Lord King," he says, and his voice carries to every corner without effort, as if the stones themselves wish to hear him speak. "I bring you the marvel you await. I bring you the fulfillment of prophecy. I bring you the knight who shall sit in the Siege Perilous." A ripple of shock runs through the hall. Men half rise from their seats. Women gasp. Even Arthur leans forward, his composure cracking for just a moment. "Many have claimed this," Arthur says carefully. "3 have died for the presumption. This one will not die, my lord. This one is destined." The hermit turns to the young man. "Show them." The young man reaches up and draws back his hood. The hall erupts in whispers. He is perhaps 18 years old, on the cusp of manhood. His hair is gold, bright as summer wheat, falling in waves to his shoulders. His eyes are blue. Not the blue of oceans, but the blue of skies after rain, clear and infinite. His face holds a beauty that makes women's hearts ache and men feel suddenly clumsy and earthbound. But it's more than beauty. There's a radiance about him, a purity that seems to emanate from his very skin, as if he's been touched by something holy, something beyond the mortal world. He looks like, someone whispers, "Lancelot," another finishes. And it's true. The resemblance is unmistakable. The same high cheekbones, the same strong jaw, the same grace of movement. But where Lancelot's eyes carry shadows, this young man's hold only light. Lancelot stands so abruptly his chair topples backward. The crash echoes like thunder. His face has gone pale as chalk, then flushed red, then pale again. His hands tremble. He knows this face. Memories flood back, memories he has tried to bury for 18 years. A castle in the west. A lady named Elaine, daughter of King Pelez, guardian of the Grail. She had loved Lancelot with a desperate, consuming love, and when he would not return it, could not, because his heart belonged entirely to Guinevere. She had used enchantment. With the help of her father's magician, she had taken Guinevere's form, appeared to Lancelot in the darkness of his chamber, let him believe. When he discovered the deception in the morning light, his rage had been terrible. But the deed was done. Elaine was with child. And though Lancelot could not love her, though he left that castle vowing never to return, he could not undo what had been done. News had come, months later, of a son born. Elaine had named him Galahad, after Lancelot's own baptismal name. But Lancelot had never seen the child, had sent gold for his upkeep but nothing more. How could he? How could he face the living proof of his one night of blindness, of the only woman besides Guinevere he had ever touched? And now here stands that child, no longer a child but a man, his son. Galahad turns to face Lancelot. Their eyes meet across the hall. The young man bows, a formal bow, the bow a knight gives to another knight. "Sir Lancelot," he says. "Not father. Just the title, the distance." Lancelot cannot speak. His throat has closed. He manages a nod, nothing more. Guinevere's hand has flown to her mouth. She stares at Galahad, then at Lancelot, and understanding dawns in her eyes. Pain flashes across her face, not jealousy, but a deeper ache. This boy is proof that Lancelot had touched another, even if unwillingly, even if through deception. The perfect love she imagined between them has always had this crack in its foundation. But Arthur sees only the prophecy fulfilled. He rises, his face alight with wonder. "Is it true?" He asks the hermit. "Can this young man truly sit in the Siege Perilous?" "Let him try, and you shall see." The hermit leads Galahad toward the round table. The knights part like water before a ship's prow, creating a path to that empty seat. That seat of death. Galahad walks with steady steps, unhurried, unafraid. He shows no trace of doubt or hesitation. When he reaches the Siege Perilous, he pauses. He places one hand on the carved back of the chair. The wood seems to warm beneath his touch, seems almost to glow. "Wait," Arthur calls out. "Young man, do you understand what you're about to do? 3 knights have died attempting this. Good men, brave men. If you are not the one, if the prophecy speaks of someone else, you will not survive the sitting." Galahad turns and smiles. It's a smile of such serenity, such absolute certainty, that it stops Arthur's words. "I am not afraid. My lord, this is why I was born. This is why I have lived in purity and prayer all my years. I am ready." He sits. For a moment, nothing happens. The hall holds its collective breath. Then light descends. Not harsh, not blinding, but gentle as dawn. A column of golden radiance falls from the vaulted ceiling, illuminating Galahad where he sits. The air fills with music. Not music played on instruments, but music that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere. Harmonies that make the heart ache with beauty. The scent of flowers, of frankincense, of something indefinably sweet, washes through the hall. And on the back of the Siege Perilous, letters appear, blazing in gold. "This is the seat of Galahad, the High Prince." The light fades. The music quiets. But Galahad remains, alive, radiant, sitting in the seat that has been waiting for him since the founding of the Round Table. The hall erupts. Knights cheer, ladies weep with joy. Arthur himself descends from the high table to embrace this marvelous young man. The prophecy is fulfilled. The perfect knight has come. Only Lancelot stands apart, his face a mask of warring emotions. Pride. This is his son, his blood. Shame. That he has never been a father to him. Sorrow. That Galahad is everything Lancelot is not, pure where Lancelot is stained, worthy where Lancelot is fallen. Gawain laughs and claps Galahad on the shoulder. Welcome, brother. Welcome to the fellowship. Gareth brings wine. Bors kneels to ask the young knight's blessing. The hall transforms from stunned silence to jubilant celebration in moments. Arthur signaled for silence. The clamor died instantly. He looked at the youth with a gaze that had seen 1,000 battles. Galahad, it is clear you were sent by a higher power. Will you accept the blade? Will you join our brotherhood and swear the oaths that bind us in blood and spirit? Galahad stood, then knelt in the dust of the hall. His eyes unwavering. I will, my king, heart and soul. The ceremony is performed there and then. Arthur draws Excalibur, that great sword forged in Avalon, and lays it on Galahad's shoulders. Do you swear to honor God above all? I do swear. Do you swear to defend the weak and punish the wicked? I do swear. Do you swear to keep your body in purity and your soul in grace? I do swear. Then rise, Sir Galahad, Knight of the Round Table. The cheering shakes the rafters. But the marvels of the day are not finished. Arthur takes Galahad's arm. Come. There is something you must see. He leads the young knight out of the hall, and the entire company follows, streaming through the corridors and down to the river that flows beside Camelot's walls. There, floating in the current, held in place by no rope or anchor but by some power beyond understanding, rests a stone. A great red stone, shot through with veins of gold. And embedded in that stone, driven deep into its heart, stands a sword. The blade gleams even in shadow. The hilt is wrapped in silver wire, set with a single white jewel that might be diamond or might be something rarer. Words are carved in the stone. None shall draw me but the best knight in the world. It appeared 3 days ago. Arthur says quietly, we have all tried. Lancelot tried. Gawain tried. Every knight of worth has tried. The sword will not move. Lancelot remembers his attempt. He had grasped the hilt with all his strength, pulled until his muscles screamed, but the sword might as well have been part of the stone itself. And when he released it, defeated, he had caught his reflection in the river and seen the truth written on his own face. You are not worthy. You will never be worthy. Galahad approaches the stone. He steps onto it lightly, and it does not sink or shift beneath his weight. He reaches down and places his hand on the hilt. The sword slides free as easily as a needle from silk. He lifts it high, and sunlight catches the blade, throwing sparks of light across the water, across the faces of the watching knights. The sword seems made for his hand, perfectly balanced, an extension of his arm. The sword of David, the old hermit says from the bank. forged in the Holy Land, blessed by prophets, waiting through centuries for the one who would wield it in the greatest quest of all. Galahad gazes at the blade with reverence, then slides it into the empty scabbard at his side. He steps back onto the bank, and the stone, its purpose fulfilled, sinks slowly beneath the surface, leaving no trace but ripples that spread and fade. The knights walk back to the hall in a kind of daze. This is no ordinary Pentecost. This is the day spoken of in legends, the day when everything changes. Chapter 3. The Grail Appears. The feast begins at last, but the mood has shifted. There's an electricity in the air, a sense of standing on the edge of something vast and unknowable. Knights eat without tasting. Ladies whisper behind their hands. Even the servants move as if through a dream. The hermit has departed, slipping away as quietly as he came. Galahad sits in the Siege Perilous. And though knights keep glancing at him, expecting disaster, he remains serene, eating a little bread, drinking a little water, speaking softly when spoken to. Lancelot cannot stop watching his son. Every gesture, every turn of the head, reminds him of himself at that age. But refined, purified, made holy. It's like looking at a reflection in a mirror that shows not what you are, but what you might have been, if you had made different choices, walked a different path. The meal progresses. Courses come and go. Roasted boar with applesauce, pike in herb butter, peacock dressed in its own feathers, jellies shaped like castles, strawberries in cream. The minstrels play and sing, old ballads of Tristan and Isolde, of Lancelot and the Lady of the Lake, of Arthur pulling the sword from the stone. Then, as the sun begins to set and candles are lit throughout the hall, the air changes. It starts as a pressure, like the heaviness before a thunderstorm. Conversations falter and die. The minstrels' voices trail away mid-verse. A dog that has been sleeping by the fire raises its head and whines. The sky beyond the windows darkens with unnatural speed. Midday becomes twilight, becomes a deep purple dusk in the space of moments. Not the darkness of night, but something richer, more profound, as if the veil between worlds has grown thin. A wind rises, but it doesn't blow through the windows. It seems to come from inside the hall itself, swirling around the round table, lifting the banners, making the candles dance. Yet no candle goes out. Then the doors slam shut. Not from the wind. Every door in the hall, every window, closes at the same instant, as if giant invisible hands have drawn them. Knights leap to their feet, hands going to sword hilts. Arthur rises, Excalibur half-drawn. Guinevere grasps his arm, her face pale. Thunder rolls overhead, but it's unlike any thunder heard before. It sounds musical, harmonic, as if storm clouds themselves are singing. Lightning flashes, but the light is gold, not white, and it fills the hall with warmth rather than fear. "Do not be afraid," Galahad says quietly, and though he barely raises his voice, everyone hears him. "This is holy. This is blessed." The light intensifies. It pours through the sealed windows, through the very stones of the walls, until the entire hall glows as if the sun itself has descended to earth. but it doesn't hurt to look at. The light is gentle, loving, like the gaze of a parent on a sleeping child. Scent fills the air. Roses and lilies, yes, but also bread baking, honey warming, wine aging in oak casks. The smell of rain on summer earth. The smell of mountain snow. The smell of the sea. Every pleasant scent in creation, all at once, but not overwhelming. Perfect. And with the scent comes sensation. Knights who have wounds from old battles feel pain dissolve. Ladies with headaches feel them lift like mist. The tired feel refreshed. The hungry feel satisfied. The sorrowful feel comforted. It's as if every need is being met by the simple presence of this light. Then, in the center of the light, something appears. It is covered, draped in white samite. A silk so fine it seems woven from moonbeams. The shape beneath is unclear. Perhaps a cup. Perhaps a bowl. Perhaps something else entirely. But every person in the hall knows, with a certainty beyond knowledge, what it is. The Holy Grail. The cup from which Christ drank at the Last Supper, when he blessed the wine and said, "This is my blood." The vessel that Joseph of Arimathea held beneath the cross to catch the sacred drops as they fell from the Saviour's wounds. The holiest relic in Christendom, lost for centuries, sought by kings and hermits, the subject of prophecies and dreams. It floats through the hall, hovering at the height of a man's chest, moving slowly around the perimeter of the round table. As it passes each night, the table before him fills with food. Not the rich dishes of the feast, but simple, perfect fare. Bread still warm from the oven, clear water, honey in the comb. Each person sees the food they most desire, prepared exactly as they remember from childhood, from home, from the moments of greatest happiness. Gawain sees his mother's apple tart, the one she made on winter mornings. Gareth sees wild strawberries from the meadow where he played as a boy. Bors sees the thin broth that sustained him through his first long fast. Each gift is personal, intimate, a message from the divine that says, "I know you. I see you. You are loved." But no one can see the Grail itself. The white silk hides it completely. Knights strain their eyes, trying to peer through the fabric, but it remains opaque. They are being given everything they need, but they cannot see the source of the gifts. Lancelot stares at the covered vessel as it passes before him. His table fills with the honey cakes that Guinevere used to make in the early days, before their love became sin. The sight of them breaks his heart. He reaches toward the Grail, yearning to see it, to touch it, to be cleansed by it. But when he tries to focus his eyes on the shape beneath the silk, everything blurs. Tears stream down his face. "I cannot see it." He whispers, "I am not worthy to see it." The Grail completes its circuit of the table. It hovers for a moment above the center, above the great circular expanse of oak, and the light grows brighter still, until the knights must shield their eyes. The music of the thunder becomes a chorus. 1,000 voices singing in languages never heard on earth. Then, slowly, the Grail begins to rise. Up through the hall. Toward the ceiling, toward the sky beyond. The light follows it, pulling away like a tide, leaving shadows in its wake. The doors and windows swing open once more. Natural twilight flows in, pale and ordinary after the glory that has just departed. The Grail vanishes through the roof, leaving no hole, no trace of its passage. It simply moves from this world to the next, as if matter itself parts before holiness. And then it's gone. The hall is silent. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of awe. Of minds struggling to comprehend what eyes have witnessed. 150 knights sit frozen in their places, staring at the space where the Grail disappeared. Some have tears on their cheeks. Some smile with wonder. Some tremble. The food on the tables remains, proof that it was real, not vision. Gawain picks up a piece of his mother's tart, takes a bite, and sobs openly at the perfection of it. Arthur is the first to speak. His voice is hoarse, as if he's been shouting, though he's said nothing for minutes. We have been blessed. Heaven itself has visited Camelot. We have been found worthy of a miracle. But Gawain stands abruptly, his chair scraping stone. His face is flushed, his eyes blazing. "Worthy," he says, and his voice rings with passion. "My lord, I say we are not worthy. We have been shown the Grail, yes, but we could not see it. It was covered, hidden from us. We are not pure enough. We are not holy enough. We have been given a glimpse of heaven, and now it's been taken away because we don't deserve to see it clearly." Murmurs of agreement ripple through the hall. Knights nod, struck by the truth of his words. Gawain's hand goes to his sword hilt. "I will not bear this shame. Brothers, I make a vow here and now. Before God and King, I will leave Camelot. I will search for the Holy Grail. I will not rest until I have found it and looked upon it unveiled, or until I die in the attempt. This I swear on my honor as a knight." The words hang in the air like a bell's note. Then Lancelot rises. His face is haggard, haunted, but his voice is steady. "I too make this vow. I will seek the Grail. Though I know I am unworthy. Though I know my sins disqualify me. I must try. Perhaps in the seeking, I can find redemption. Perhaps in the journey, I can become what I am not now. Pure enough to serve, if not to achieve." One by one, the knights stand. "Percival, young and earnest, I swear to seek the Grail." Bors, devout and steady, "By God's grace, I will search until my last breath." Gareth, Bedivere, Kay, Tristan, those who survived his own quest for love, every knight in turn rises and makes the same oath. The air fills with vows, with pledges, with the sound of 150 voices binding themselves to an impossible task. Finally, Galahad stands. He has been silent through all of this, sitting peacefully in the Siege Perilous. When he speaks, the whole quiets to hear him. "I do not need to vow," he says gently. "I was born for this. The Grail is my destiny, as surely as sitting in this chair was my destiny. I will find it. This I know." There is no arrogance in his words, only certainty. The other knights hear it and feel both hope and despair. Hope that one of them will achieve the quest. Despair that it will not be them. "Let your breath be slow and easy now. The great quest begins, but you need only listen and drift. Chapter 4. The Scattering. Arthur moves to the window and stares out at the darkening sky. Behind him, his knights celebrate their vows with embraces and pledges of brotherhood. But the king sees what they do not. He sees the end. When he turns back to face them, his eyes glisten with unshed tears. The whole quiets at the sight of his expression. "My knights," he says, and his voice carries all the weight of prophecy. "My brothers, my friends, I am proud of your courage. I am moved by your devotion. But my heart is breaking." The words fall like stones into still water. Do you understand what you have sworn? The Grail quest is not like other adventures. It is not a dragon to be slain or a tournament to be won. It is a trial of the soul. Many of you will never return. You will die in distant lands, alone. Your names forgotten, your bodies never laid to rest in Camelot's earth. Others will return broken, their spirits crushed by failure. Only a very few, perhaps only one, will achieve the quest. He walks along the circle of the round table, his hand trailing on its surface, touching the wood that has bound them all these years. This table will sit empty. These seats will gather dust. The fellowship we have built, the golden age of Camelot. It ends tonight. Not because of war or betrayal, but because you have chosen something higher than earthly glory. And I cannot, I will not stop you, but I can mourn. Silence greets his words. The younger knights look at each other, suddenly uncertain. The older knights bow their heads, understanding at last what their vows will cost. Gawain, who began this cascade of oaths, steps forward. "My lord uncle, forgive me. I spoke in passion, not wisdom. But the vow is made. I cannot unmake it." "I know." Arthur's smile is sad. "And I would not ask you to. Heaven has called you, and who am I to stand between a knight and God? Go, all of you. Seek the Grail. Find your destiny. I will wait here, in Camelot, and pray for your return." Guinevere stands and moves to Arthur's side. She takes his hand, squeezing it gently. Her face is composed, queenly, but her knuckles are white. She knows that Lancelot will leave with the others. She knows she may never see him again. But she cannot speak this fear aloud. "When will you depart?" Arthur asks. "Tomorrow at dawn," Gawain says. And the others murmur agreement. Why wait? The Grail has appeared. The quest must begin. The feast is forgotten. Knights disperse to prepare for the journey. Squires are summoned to ready armor and weapons. Horses are brought from pasture to stable. Farriers work through the night, shoeing mounts for long travel. Priests hear confessions and grant absolutions. The castle transforms from a place of celebration to a place of solemn preparation. In the army, Lancelot polishes his helmet with slow, meditative movements. His squire hovers nearby, asking questions about which lance to pack, which shield to bring, but Lancelot barely hears. His mind is far away, walking paths he hasn't yet traveled, seeking something he's certain he'll never find. A door opens softly behind him. He knows who it is without turning. He can always sense her presence, the way a flower senses the sun. "Guinevere," he says quietly, "you shouldn't be here. If someone sees..." "I don't care." Her voice is fierce, desperate. She crosses the space between them and takes his arm, pulling him around to face her. "You're leaving tomorrow, perhaps forever. I will have this moment with you, and I don't care who knows." He looks down at her, this woman he has loved for so long, so hopelessly. Her beauty hasn't dimmed with years. If anything, time has refined it, turned girlish prettiness into something deeper, more luminous. But tonight her eyes are red, her lips trembling. "I will come back," he says, though he doesn't know if it's true. "Will you? Can you?" "Lancelot, you heard what Arthur said. Many will die. You could be one of them. And even if you live, even if you return, will you be the same? This quest, it will change you." Perhaps that's what I need. Change. Purification. I'm tired of being unworthy. I'm tired of the guilt, the shame. Maybe if I find the Grail, or die trying, I can finally be at peace. She strikes him then, not hard, but with enough force to sting. "Don't you dare. Don't you dare talk about dying as if it's a release. You think I want to live in a world without you? You think I want to grow old knowing you're gone? Our love may be sin, but it's my sin, and I choose it every day. Don't seek death to escape what we are." He catches her hand, holds it against his chest. "I'm not seeking death. I'm seeking redemption. There's a difference." "Is there?" Her voice drops to a whisper. "You saw Galahad, your son. Pure, perfect, everything you wish you were. Does his existence make you want to live differently, or does it just make you feel worse about yourself?" The question cuts deep because it's true. Galahad's arrival has opened a wound Lancelot thought had scarred over long ago. "He is what I could never be," Lancelot admits. "Perhaps what I was meant to be, if I hadn't chosen love over duty, passion over purity." "You didn't choose," Guinevere says fiercely. "Love isn't a choice. It's a thunderbolt, a wildfire. It happened to us, and we've done our best to honor it while still serving Arthur. We've never betrayed him in word or action, only in our hearts. Is that so terrible a sin?" The church says it is. God says it is. And now the Grail has appeared, and I couldn't even see it. The sight was denied to me because of what I am, what we are. They stand in silence, holding each other as the night deepens around them. Outside, the castle prepares for departure. Inside this small room, two people who have loved in secret for years say a goodbye that might be final. "If you find the Grail," Guinevere asks softly, "will you stop loving me?" "I don't think I could stop loving you if God himself commanded it," Lancelot says. "But maybe I'll learn to love you differently, as Arthur's wife, as my queen, without desire, without longing. Maybe that's the miracle the Grail can work." "And if that happens," she says, "I'll be happy for you, and heartbroken forever." They kiss then, a long, desperate kiss that tastes of salt tears and broken vows. When they part, Lancelot gently pushes her toward the door. Go, before someone comes. I'll see you tomorrow at the departure. She nods, unable to speak, and slips out into the dark corridor. Lancelot stands alone in the army, surrounded by instruments of war, and lets himself weep. Elsewhere in the castle, Galahad kneels in the chapel, his sword laid before him on the altar. He has been here for hours, praying, preparing his spirit for what's to come. The sword from the stone, the sword of David, gleams in the candlelight. He feels no fear, no doubt. Only a deep, settled certainty that he is exactly where he's meant to be. Doing exactly what he was born to do. A shadow falls across him. He looks up to see Lancelot standing in the doorway, silhouetted against the torchlit corridor beyond. For a long moment, father and son regard each other in silence. "May I enter?" Lancelot asks. "Of course." Galahad's voice is gentle, welcoming. Lancelot walks down the aisle and kneels beside his son. He wants to say so many things. "I'm sorry I was never a father to you. I'm proud of who you've become. I wish I were more like you." But the words stick in his throat. Galahad speaks first. "You don't need to apologize. My mother explained everything. You were deceived. What happened was not truly your fault. I should have returned. I should have raised you. You had your own path to walk, and I had mine. We're together now, for however long the quest allows. That's enough." "You're very kind. More kind than I deserve." Lancelot's voice is rough with emotion. "You're my father," Galahad says simply. "Whatever your sins, you gave me life. And my mother loved you truly, even if you couldn't love her in return. There's no debt between us, no blame. Only connection." Lancelot looks at this remarkable young man and feels a swell of something he can't name. Not quite pride. He has no right to that. Not quite hope. He knows his own limits too well. But something warm and painful and beautiful nonetheless. "Will you find it?" he asks. "The Grail?" "Yes." No hesitation. No false modesty. Just certainty. "I won't," Lancelot says. "I know that now. I'm not pure enough. I've loved where I shouldn't, desired what wasn't mine. I'll search because I vowed to search, but the finding is not for me." "Perhaps the searching is your grail," Galahad suggests. "Perhaps the journey itself will give you what you need, even if the destination is denied." They kneel together in the chapel, two knights on the eve of the greatest quest in Christendom, bound by blood but separated by holiness, until the candles burn low and dawn begins to pale the eastern sky. The morning comes cold and clear. In the great courtyard before Camelot's gates, 150 knights gather in full armor, mounted on war horses caparisoned in their colors. The sight is magnificent and terrible. So much strength, so much courage, about to scatter to the four winds. The people of Camelot line the streets, silent, watching. Mothers hold children up to see the knights one last time. Old men weep openly. Young boys stare with wide eyes, drinking in the sight of heroes departing, not understanding that many of these heroes will never return. Arthur stands on the castle steps, Excalibur raised high. Guinevere is beside him, her face a mask of queenly composure. Only those who know her well can see the anguish in her eyes as she watches Lancelot mount his black destrier. Knights of the Round Table. Arthur's voice carries across the courtyard. You go forth on the holiest quest ever undertaken by mortal men. May God guide your paths. May angels guard your sleep. May you find what you seek, or find something better in the searching. Go with my blessing. Go with my love. Go with my hope that we shall meet again in this life or the next. For the Grail, Gawain shouts. And the cry is taken up by 150 voices, for the Grail. The gates swing open. The knights begin to move, streaming out of Camelot in a river of steel and silk and horseflesh. But they do not ride together. The quest must be undertaken alone. Each knight following his own path, seeking his own destiny. At the crossroads beyond the city, they begin to separate. Gawain turns east, toward the morning sun. Lancelot turns north, toward the wild lands. Galahad turns west, toward the setting stars. Percival turns south, toward the warm countries. Bors, Gareth, Bedivere, Kay, each chooses a direction and rides alone into the unknown. Within an hour, the great company has dispersed completely. 150 knights become 150 solitary figures, growing smaller and smaller on the horizon, until they vanish into forest or over hill or around bend, leaving nothing but hoof prints in the dust and memories in the hearts of those who love them. Camelot stands empty. The Round Table sits silent. The Golden Age is over. The quest has begun, and with it, the testing of souls. Let yourself drift now into the stories of those who seek. Chapter 5. Trials of the Soul. Months pass. Across Britain and beyond, knights wander in search of the Grail. They ride through summer heat and autumn rain. They cross mountains and ford rivers. They sleep under stars and in abandoned hermitages. And everywhere they go, they are tested. Gawain rides east until he comes to a castle that appears at twilight and vanishes at dawn. The lord of the castle welcomes him with feast and fire, and the lady of the castle is beautiful beyond words. Her hair is the color of chestnuts, her eyes the green of deep forest pools. "Stay with us," she says, her voice like honey. "The Grail quest is long. You deserve rest, comfort. Stay one night, just one." Gawain knows he should refuse. He knows this is a test, but he's been riding for weeks, sleeping on cold ground, eating stale bread. The castle is warm. The lady is lovely. What harm can one night do? He stays. That night, the lady comes to his chamber. She wears a gown of silk so thin it might be missed. She brings wine spiced with cinnamon and cloves. She sits on the edge of his bed and speaks of loneliness, of desire, of opportunities that may never come again. Gawain tries to resist. He thinks of his vow, of the Grail, of everything he's supposed to be. But human flesh is weak and he's been strong for so long. When she kisses him, he kisses back. When she slips into his bed, he does not turn her away. In the morning, he wakes alone in an open field. The castle is gone. His horse grazes nearby, and sitting on a stone beside the road is a hermit, old and weathered as driftwood. "You have failed, Gawain," the hermit says without preamble. "The Grail is not for those who cannot master their own desires. Go home. Your quest is ended." Shame washes over Gawain like cold water. He wants to argue, to explain, to beg for another chance. But he knows the hermit is right. He failed at the first true test. He chose comfort over holiness, pleasure over purity. The Grail will never be his. Still, he doesn't turn back to Camelot. Not yet. He rides on, aimless now, no longer seeking the Grail but unable to face the shame of returning in failure. Lancelot's journey takes him north, into lands where mist hangs thick between ancient trees and the old magic still lingers. He fights bandits who prey on pilgrims. He rescues a maiden from a false knight who would have forced her to marriage. He sleeps in monasteries and listens to monks chant prayers in the darkness. One day, a monk tells him, 3 days' ride north stands the castle of the Grail. It is there, Sir Lancelot. The very thing you seek. Lancelot's heart leaps. He rides hard for 3 days, barely stopping to rest, and at last he comes to a castle on a hill. It's not like other castles. The stones seem to glow with their own light. Music drifts from the windows, music unlike any earthly instrument could make. The very air around it feels charged with holiness. He dismounts and approaches the gate. It's closed but not locked. He pushes and it swings open silently. The courtyard beyond is empty. No guards, no servants, no signs of life. Just that music growing louder, drawing him forward. He crosses the courtyard and climbs the steps to the great hall. The doors are ajar. He can see light beyond, golden and pure. He can hear voices singing in perfect harmony. He knows, with every fiber of his being, that the Grail is inside. He reaches for the door and cannot touch it. Some invisible force holds him back, as solid as stone, as unbreakable as fate. He pushes harder, strains every muscle, but he might as well be trying to push back the tide. The door remains just beyond his fingertips, eternally out of reach. "No," he whispers. "Please. I've come so far." A voice speaks from behind him. He turns to see a priest, ancient and wise, with eyes that have seen centuries. "You cannot enter, Lancelot. Not while sin dwells in your heart. Not while earthly love binds you stronger than heavenly grace. I love the Queen," Lancelot says, and saying it aloud is both relief and agony. "I've loved her for years. I cannot stop. I've tried, God knows I've tried, but I cannot." "Then you cannot have the Grail," the priest says gently, without judgment. "The choice is yours. Love or holiness. You cannot have both." Lancelot sinks to his knees on the steps. Inside the hall, the music swells, beautiful and terrible, everything he wants and everything he cannot have. He weeps, great wrenching sobs that shake his whole body. He has never felt so broken, so completely undone. "But your son," the priest says after a time. "Galahad. He carries no such burden. What is denied to you will be given to him. In this, at least, you can find comfort." It's cold comfort, but it's something. Lancelot stays on the steps all night, as close to the Grail as he will ever get, letting his tears wash away the last of his illusions. By morning, he understands. His quest is not to find the Grail, but to accept that he never will. And strangely, in that acceptance, he finds a kind of peace. Percival's journey is different. He is young, barely 20, and he grew up in the forests far from court, raised by his mother after his father and brothers died in battle. He knows little of theology or philosophy. His faith is simple, childlike, pure. He rides through the world with wonder in his eyes. Every tree seems magical to him. Every stream speaks of God's grace. He helps everyone he meets. A farmer whose cart has overturned, an old woman who needs wood chopped, a child lost in the forest. He doesn't think of these as trials or tests. He simply helps because that's what good people do. One day, he comes upon a beautiful woman weeping beside a river. She tells him she's been abandoned by her lover, left alone in the wilderness. "Take me to the next town," she begs. "I'm afraid to travel alone." Percival, being Percival, immediately agrees. He helps her onto his horse and they ride together. But as they travel, the woman changes. She sits closer, whispers suggestions in his ear, runs her fingers through his hair. Percival feels strange stirrings, confusing and pleasant and frightening all at once. When they stop to rest, the woman tries to kiss him. Percival, innocent as he is, almost lets her. But then his eye falls on the cross hanging from his saddle, the cross his mother gave him when he left home. He remembers his vows. He remembers why he's here. "I can't," he says, gently pushing her away. "I'm sorry. I've taken vows. I'm seeking the Holy Grail." The woman's face twists with rage. Her beauty melts like wax, revealing something else beneath. Scales, fangs, eyes like coals. She's a demon, sent to test him. "You fool," she shrieks. "You could have had pleasure beyond imagining." And then she's gone, vanished into smoke, leaving only the smell of sulfur behind. Percival sits alone by the river, shaking, realizing how close he came to failure. But he didn't fail. His simple faith, his mother's cross, saved him. He rides on, no longer quite so innocent, but still pure of heart. Bors, the most humble of all the knights, faces a different trial. He's traveling through a valley when he sees two groups in distress. On one side of the road, his own brother is being attacked by bandits. On the other side, a young woman is being dragged away by rough men who clearly mean her harm. he can only help one. His brother is blood, family, the person he's known all his life. But the woman is a stranger, helpless, in greater danger. What should he do? Bors prays for guidance, and in his heart, he hears the answer. Protect the weak. That's the vow. Not protect your own, but protect those who cannot protect themselves. With anguish tearing at him, he rides toward the woman, scattering her attackers with his sword, saving her from violation and death. When he looks back toward his brother, expecting to see him slain, he instead sees him laughing, whole and well. The bandits have vanished. It was a test, an illusion. His brother calls out, "Well chosen, brother. You passed." Bors weeps with relief and continues his journey, knowing he made the right choice, but still shaken by how difficult it was. Not all knights fare so well. Some die in battle against enemies they cannot defeat. Some fall to disease in swamps and marshes. Some go mad from isolation and despair, wandering in circles until they starve. Some are seduced by demons disguised as angels. Some simply give up, turning aside from the quest to pursue easier dreams. The Grail quest is merciless. It cares nothing for strength or skill with weapons. It tests only the soul, and few souls are strong enough to withstand its scrutiny. In Camelot, months turn to a year. Arthur walks the empty halls and stares at the empty seats around the round table. Only a handful of old knights remain, too aged for questing, and they seem more like ghosts than men. The castle that once rang with laughter and music is silent now. The glory has departed. Guinevere spends her days in the chapel, praying for Lancelot's safety, for his return, knowing that even if he comes back, he may not be the man she loved. The quest changes everyone it touches. And somewhere in the wild lands, 3 knights draw closer to their destiny. Galahad, Percival, and Bors, each having passed their tests. Each being drawn by invisible threads toward the same destination. They have not met yet, but they will. The Grail awaits, and only these 3 are worthy to approach it. A year has passed since the knights rode out from Camelot in their shining armor, their hearts full of holy purpose. So many have fallen. So many have failed. The round table stands nearly empty now. A monument to glory past. But the story is not over. 3 knights still ride toward their destiny. Galahad, the perfect knight, pure as morning snow. Percival, the innocent, whose simple faith is stronger than any armor. Bors, the humble, who chose righteousness over blood. These 3, and only these 3, have passed every test. These 3 will find what all others sought in vain. Lancelot wanders still, no longer seeking the Grail but seeking himself, trying to understand what it means to be strong yet unworthy, to be the greatest yet not the best. His journey has just begun, though his quest has ended. And high in the western hills, in a castle beyond the world's edge, the Grail waits. Patient, eternal, ready to reveal itself to those whose hearts are pure enough to bear the sight. Close your eyes now, if they're not closed already. Let the story settle into your dreams like snow falling on quiet fields. Tomorrow night, We'll return to this tale. We'll witness the finding of the Grail, the moment when heaven and earth touch, when mortal eyes see what angels see. We'll walk with Galahad into the mystery. But for now, rest. The greatest achievements require the purest hearts. And the longest journeys begin with a single step into darkness, trusting that light will come. Sleep now. The Grail waits. The story waits. And tomorrow, all will be revealed.